Hello everyone, welcome back to Big Bear Automations. We are on day 15 of learning n8n in a year. If you don't know what we're doing, I recommend going back to day one. I'll put a link in the video somewhere. And all we're doing is stripping back all of the knowledge that I've got and starting again. We're going to go through it step by step. We've done webhooks, we've done if nodes, we've done setting up your self-hosting n8n, so please go back and have a look at all that. Today we are looking at the function node, or code node as some say. So the code node is basically a place that you can take in some JSON, manipulate it with JavaScript, and then output whatever you want. You basically could just create your own custom logic for your complex data cleaning, complex formatting and manipulation that otherwise would either be impossible or an absolute faff to keep going back and forth and round and all this sort of stuff. So by the end of this video, you should have some appreciation for the function node, the difference between when we can use the set and when we can use the function, and how to handle errors a little bit more gracefully is the plan. So first, let's understand a little bit about when's a good time to use a set node and when there's a good time to use a function node. So the set node is just for simple field mapping, basic string manipulation, straightforward data extraction and static value assignment. So simple set node stuff that we've gone through, we've done set node, but quite simple, quite basic. The function node, however, is for your complex string manipulation. You can do conditional logic within the transformation as well, loops and iterations over data, which helps with your arrays, custom validation and error handling. You can do your maths and your maths calculations, date time manipulations, beyond any basic formatting that you can do in the set node. So it basically just opens up your scripting for you, which is one of the sole reasons that n8n is one of my favorites at the moment, because that alone saves me so much time. It is ridiculous. So instead of talking loads, well, I am going to talk loads, but instead of going through loads of diagrams or whatever, I've just built some very high level examples, like real world examples. So this one is cleaning imported contact lists. So this example, we've got a database, it's got a load of numbers in it, and these numbers are all over the shop, and we need some standard formatting. As easy as that. Our code node, which is this one, takes in those random phone numbers and extracts the phone numbers from the input JSON, and then cleans up and formats the phone number, removes any non-digits, and adds the +1 because this is for the US. Even though I'm in the UK, I did this example in the US, I don't know why. Handles missing numbers gracefully and returns a null, like that. And adds the country code prefix of +1 if it's not already present. So if it's already there, leave it. If it's not, add it in. It then creates the new JSON object with formatted phone numbers only, 1, 2, 3, and then it returns our formatted numbers. Now that's a lot of code and it's a very quick way to do it. But the basic concept is it takes in items, which is the reference of whatever the last node was, and it returns whatever you want it to return based on what you've put here. So remember that it always needs to return something and it will always take something in. And this keyword here, return, is something that has to happen. So my screen is frozen, which is nice. Let's just wait for n8n to catch up with us, or Google to catch up with us. But what we'll do is we'll go through the different options in the mode and the language and what's in settings. But the idea or the concept is that we can do this custom coding to manipulate our data however we want to, which is why it's good. And I don't know what's going on with Google. I'm going to pause for a second to fix it. Okay, we're back. So run mode, or mode, sorry. We've got run once for all items or run once for each item. So run the code only once, no matter how many input items there are. So at this one, there's only one item, which is full of these, but that could have been 3, 4, 5, 6 items, right? And you can do it so that you run for each item. So the output would be 5, 6, 7, 8 items, or you do it for all and you turn it into one item that pops out the other end. Quite easy. You got JavaScript and you got your Python. I tend to stick with JavaScript, don't know why, but that's what I'll be doing it in. Python, you can do the same. You just go through what I've done. Doesn't really, it's just personal preference to me. I'm sure there's some people out there that are, oh, it's more efficient, etc. But for me, it's just easier. So I use JavaScript, and the settings are all the same as what the other nodes have been looking at. So there are some fundamental functionality stuff that we probably want to have a look at. However, I don't want to go too codey because I don't think you need it. The concept of what is happening in here is more the thing that I want to focus on, because the mentality of I have phone numbers, I need to be able to format it in a way that makes my code work the other side of it is all you need to worry about. With AI now, we can just ask it, but as long as you know that fundamental concept of what potentially JavaScript can do or Python can do on the other side, then you can just go and ask ChatGPT. Like, you really don't need to know the ins and outs of this code anymore. However, it is still good to understand it. So what I tend to do, even though I've done coding in my time, is ask ChatGPT to put these sort of lines in, so that you can at least talk about it or at least read through why it's doing it. And if you ever need to change it, so say, oh, actually, I don't need +1, I need +2. You know where to, or I need +4 if you're UK. You'd know where to change it. As long as you understand the concept, the code doesn't really matter, in my opinion. So here's another example. Parsing and standardizing addresses. So again, we've got this address, and it's come through in a line string, and we want it separated to be address 1, address 2, and have it in street name, etc. So our code, if we test that workflow, does exactly that, right? Address 1 is this, address 2 is this, but then we've got our city, our state, our city, and our state for each one. So we're getting the information out of it that we need to pass on to the rest of the workflow. Again, same concept. Items come in, we iterate through them. We check if the key starts with an address, e.g. address 1, address home, splits that full address parts by the commas because it comes in commas, and then assumes that the second part is the city, so index 1, so the second part, which is Springfield or Madison. Assume the third part contains a zip code, which it does, and then split by that, so you split in by part 1, part 2. Add a new field for the city and state back to the items JSON and suffix with city and underscore state. So you get your state and you get your city, and you parsing that data in. Return the original item, but now enrich with the extracted city and state fields that we wanted. Perfect. And remember, we always return something at the end. So this is standardized address, which is this standardized address here. Making sense. So I've got this address, I want it in this format, comes out the other side in that format using the custom code. Okay, we're going to move on. Let's create dynamic content based on multiple conditions. So this one, we have Alice, subscription 1 is premium, Bob, his subscription 2 is free. On the other side, we want to make sure that we have individual messages for Alice and individual messages for Bob, all based on thank you for your premium service and your free service. So let's upgrade. Again, come through, iterate through the items, loop through all the keys in the current items, and check if those keys start with subscription or subscription 2, so 1 or 2. Again, this is not great for data, but this is just examples. Extract the number part from the subscription key, e.g. 1 or 2, and then build the related names and message keys using the extracted number. So name 1, name message 2, which is what they're doing here. Check the subscription status for the particular subscription key. So if it's premium, cool, add this message in, dear, thank you for subscribing to our premium service. If it's not, dear, we invite you to upgrade our premium service for exclusive benefits. Again, custom messages, we can then use message 1 and message 2 in the next workflow, the next part of the workflow. But again, same concept, right? Input data. How do I want to mess with it? And what do I need on the other side? What does the workflow need afterwards? We'll keep going and we'll have a look at a few more. Validating email formats. Probably a very highly used one. Emails comes in. We've got Alice at dot, Bob at, so he hasn't put the at symbol, Bob messing around. And we're validating whether these emails are true or not, or valid or not. So this one hasn't worked, look. And they're saying that each one isn't valid. Interesting. So it iterates over the items, extract email addresses from input JSON, does the email regex, which is this regex here. If you're not familiar with regex, it's basically just a format, a way of checking text to see whether it's got any of these things in. You can go and have a look at regex if you want to. It's a whole world, but you can just use AI to be like, I need regex that does this. Helper function to validate email. I remember when we didn't do this. We just had to read a development book, but now AI has changed everything. Helper function to validate email or return null if invalid. Handle missing emails, so return none. So this genuinely thinks there's no emails, which is interesting. And then return a JSON object with validated emails only. So we're doing a bit of error handling here, which I think is what it's trying to show. And handle, we're going to handle the missing email. So if there is no email, then we're going to write null, which means it doesn't break the workflow. And we can handle null on the outside. Again, the concept is that we would have had email 1, email 2, email 3. Alice should be fine. Charlie should be null. And Bob should be null as well. But email 1 should have been fine. Which actually would have been if that was right. There you go. So it's only looking at email 1, email 2. But you get the gist of it, right? Input, how do I need to manipulate it? Output for the rest of my workflow. Let's go and have a look at a maths one. So the maths side's really good, obviously. A lot of stuff you can do with this. So here we've got number 1, number 2, number 3, number 2, number 1, number 2, pair 1, pair 1, 2, right? Easy to understand. What we're doing here is we are trying to calculate the sum, the difference, the product, and the quadrant, yeah, of the two pairs. So number 1, number 2, number 1, pair 1, pair 2, number 2. So it creates a new object, which is your calculations, which is where it's going to store all the stuff. Checks if the key ends with null 1, indicating the first number in the pair. Removes the null 1 to get the prefix for the number pair, e.g. number pair 1. Retrieves the numbers using the current key. Retrieves the second number using the corresponding underscore 2 key, so number 1 pair underscore 2. and then store all the maths calculations for the pair in the calculation object under the prefix. So calculations prefix, number of the two is sum, difference, product, and quotient, and then quotient, and it just does it, right? So number one plus number two minus number one times number two, maths. And my Google is frozen. I will pause 2 seconds. And we're back. So again, it passes it to the calculations, and then we return maths results, which is the top one. Same concept. We have numbers. We need to do something to those numbers. What do we need to do? Okay, that's what we need in the workflow. Now, there's a reason why I'm not hanging on the code too much, and I'll explain why in a second. But I just wanted to show you a bit more real life examples. So slug generation or identifier generation. Again, we have company name of first name, and we want the code to create identifiers so that we can store it in a database or store it in a Google Sheet or something. So we've got some sort of identifier for that company. This goes through, it does some error handling, so return null if there's no text. Ensure input is a string, lowercase all the letters, remove the white space from start and end, replace all the white space with dashes, which is what it's doing there. Remove all the characters, letters, numbers, and dashes, and remove multiple dashes with a single dash. So if there was more dashes in there that didn't need to be in there, it would just do it. So then you've got a company slug and the first name of the slug. Again, creates the JSON, return at the bottom, function at the top. Simples. So the reason why I haven't got hung up on the code side of things and more want to focus on the mentality side of things is because AI can do it for you now, right? You don't need to really understand too much other than the concepts that what the JavaScript is doing. So I'll give you an example. Give me JSON for JSON example for a user. So this is just example data, right? It's going to create me a, that's scary that it knows everything. And the company's Big Bear. Interesting. Anyway. And what we then want to do is say, okay, I want to get the company name, Big Bear, the role, operations manager, and the interests to be a slug so that I've got an identifier for them. All I'm going to do is say, please, actually, write me a JavaScript function for n8n that will handle the above JSON structure and return me a slug that will be company, role, interests, all formatted into lowercase and have a dash between a dash instead of spaces. Okay, so now we've got that functionality, right? And it's put in the comments and everything, which is really nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. Oh. We'll copy this. We're going to add in our example data. There's the example data. We're then going to take over our code. And we're going to test it. There you go. Big Bear dash operations dash manager dash automation dash efficiency dash operations. Now, this has given us all the code back again. So maybe we just like, actually, Sorry, my Google broke again, but actually we don't want all that JSON. Just return the slug. So it changes my function for me. I go over, I do that, I test that, and code doesn't return items properly. Nice. Okay, that's fine. So I don't want to change anything. I'm just going to go over to ChatGPT, paste in the error. Again, I'm going to paste in the error. There you go. And it returns it. So again, bit of error handling there in terms of just at ChatGPT not getting into the right format for n8n, but you can keep going until it will figure it out, or go to Claude or go to Gemini. One of them will figure it out for you. And then we can start going, okay, what if add error handling in for as many scenarios like you can think of that may cause this to break. For example, no data in a certain field. Again, the mentality of, well, I need to error handle. How am I going to do it? You don't necessarily need to know how to code it, but you need to know what to ask for. So again, we can paste that in. I mean, it shouldn't error. It should give us exactly the same thing, hopefully. Yeah. But if we were to change this and get rid of that and test it, what comes out the other end of it? Operations manager, automation, but because there's no company in there, it's error. It's handling the fact that there might not be something there. So I'm not going to go too much more into detail into the code inside, because I just wanted more for you to get the mentality behind it. So basically, to wrap all this up, you just want to, or I'll give you some tips first. You want to always validate your input data, so make sure that the data is actually there, and if not, handle it. You want to put some descriptive function names in, so you know what it's doing, especially if you're working with other teams and stuff, so they can see what it all means. And if you ever need to hand over, handle your edge cases. Again, you can ask ChatGPT what edge cases there are and how to get there, and how can we handle them. And if you're interested, talk to it. Like, say, okay, well, tell me more about why you did it like this, right? You don't need to know the ins and outs of the coding functionality stuff anymore. You just need to know that the concepts around it. Use your console logs for debugging if you need to. Again, ask ChatGPT to put it in. And you don't need to worry too much about it. But the concept for me is the main thing that about the function node is that I've got an input. I need to do some manipulation on it. I need to get some maths. I need to do some string manipulation. I need something to do with it. What do I need to do? Ask your ChatGPT, ask your Gemini, ask your Claude, paste it in and see what you get on the output again, and then keep tweaking and keep tweaking. Eventually you'll learn the ins and outs of what's happening in here and where you can tweak it and stuff anyway, as you learn, as you go through it. But at the minute, it shouldn't be a barrier for you to learn to not use this code function. So key takeaways: when to use a set node for simple transformations and function node for complex. Always validate and handle your errors gracefully. Write readable, maintainable code, which you can ask ChatGPT to do, and test with edge cases and missing data. So your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is to take some messy data from your own projects and clean it using the function node, or just ask ChatGPT to real messy data and see what you can get out the other end of it. I'd like to see your outputs and what that looks like. If you can comment and get involved, that'd be great. If you can hit the like button, save, share, subscribe, please. It all helps the channel grow and the community grow. And hopefully you learned a bit about function nodes today. Cheers, guys. Thank you.